Joining me now to discuss, Morgan Murphy, a national security expert, a U.S. Navy captain, former Trump White House official, and Alabama Senate candidate. Also with us, Rebecca Grant, a national security analyst and senior fellow at the Lexington Institute. Also with us, Colonel Tony Shaffer, U.S. Army Lieutenant, President of Project Sentinel 2020 Trump Campaign National Advisor. So great to have you in studio.
Good to see you here. Thank you.
All right, let's start off with Syria, Colonel. U.S. Central Command saying it used more than 100 precision munitions and strikes against more than 70 ISIS targets in Syria after the deaths of those 2 American soldiers and a U.S. interpreter a week ago. This goes to show you once again, President Trump, he is a man of his word. He said you touch a single hair on Americans' head and you will feel vengeance like you've never felt before.
That's right. The consequences were quickly felt by the ISIS folks. The flash to bang time, to your point, was very short, as in less than 24 hours. This sends a message not only to ISIS, but to al-Jalali, the actual president of Syria. It's his job, Lydia. That's why we've been pushing him, reducing all of the sanctions to give him a chance to bring governance back. The big issue is, obviously, ungoverned territory is a magnet for terrorism. There's still some pretty ungoverned spaces. We need to make sure those places have governance, either the Kurds or the official government. But the idea here is to send a very strong message, which is what we did, and I think more is to come.
Right. And Rebecca, peace through strength, right? This is what the president said. This is why he's doing this. Neutralize the killing, right? Neutralize the enemy before they kill more.
Yes, peace through strength provided by some F-15E and A-10s with their GBU-31 bombs. You know, Central Command has done this periodically. They've actually carried out over 80 types of operations with partner forces in the Syria region during 2025. I'm glad to see them carry out these airstrikes that are designed to hit targets, preempting the training of ISIS operatives and the building of munitions. And it's to send a signal to global ISIS, knock it off, don't mess with the USA.
Right. And Captain Murphy, Paris, Tokyo, they're canceling their Christmas celebrations, New Year's Eve celebrations. Meantime, right here at home, we're having some threats happening, too. 4 people from a anti-capitalist, anti-government extremist group. They are at least one person in the middle right there. He says he's trans. He wanted to be moved to a women's prison. They said no, they got to stay put. And then there's also another man in New Orleans connected to this trans Antifa group. He wanted to blow up. They have pictures of the bombs and everything. He's a former Marine, a former cop. He's also trans, apparently self-proclaimed trans. So talk to me about what's going on here at home, where we have these trans Antifa fascist people that are looking at these soft targets and want maximum casualties.
Well, we do have an epidemic and a mental health crisis in this country, and it's really global throughout Western civilization. I mean, kudos, hats off to Kash Patel and the FBI for stopping this terror threat in Los Angeles early. It wasn't a little more than a year ago when we had a terrible rampage through New Orleans. And this just keeps happening around the world. Since 1979, there have been 66,000 terror attacks linked in some way to Islam.
Right. And do we have the photo of that Micah Legnan, the mugshot there from question number 3? Do we have that? There he is. I want you to take a look at that, Colonel. This is not a well individual.
No.
They're on these massive amounts of hormones, right? I feel like we gloss that over, that what that does also, it doesn't just affect the body, it affects the mind. What do you think is going on within the trans community, sir?
Trans community, any community where violence is prevalent, I think you can trace it back to a series of cocktails that have been prescribed to them. We don't look deep enough at the effects of psychotropic drugs. This is a common factor in a number of shootings, too, especially with kids who are diagnosed with ADD. They put them on psychotropic drugs. Same thing with trans. You have mental illness. Well, let's put you on a drug. So I don't think it's the guns. I think it's actually the drugs that has a great deal to do with what happens when these people turn violent and either participate in or contemplate acts of violence.
Right. And Rebecca, you have the president. Obviously, they're doing everything they can, ramping up the deportation of illegal aliens. I believe 2.5 million to date under the Trump administration, either being forcibly deported or self-deportation. But we see that there is a threat right here at home from Americans. So how does the administration tackle those threats?
Well, the cyber world and radicalization is another key element they watch, whether that's radical Islam or other motivations coming across the internet. But no question, our FBI and so many other organizations are really on high alert, looking for the key tip-off signs, like propensity to violence, that radicalization, that going in for a cause. And I think everyone's going to be very vigilant this season.
Right. And Captain Murphy, we kept hearing from the left-wing media, especially, that it's the MAGA Republicans. They're the extremists. They're the dangerous ones. But time and time again, we're seeing violence coming from the left. So how much of a part does the media play in this kind of misinformation campaign? You even have Jasmine Crockett saying that white supremacists, that white men, they are more of a danger than anybody else, that the MAGA Republicans. So the media, they're playing a role in what is really going on in this world.
Well, what I'd like to hear from the left is a condemnation of these attacks. You know, Ilhan Omar said it was the guns in Australia that was the cause. You know, we haven't heard the trans community and the LGBTQ community speak up and condemn these trans attacks. You know, after J6, which was largely a hoax, but after J6, more than 50 prominent Republicans came out and condemned the riot at the Capitol. Why don't we hear that from the left? I think it's because they're encouraging it.
I think you make an excellent point. So, Colonel, final thoughts to you. Why is the left afraid? Because it is. It's like we're not a cult. If somebody does something wrong, even if they're a Republican, even if they're MAGA, you call it out. I mean, we have no problem doing that.
No, I think we are very good at what I would term self-policing.
Right.
I think those extreme elements are quietly shown the door. Obviously, there's no violence to speak of on our side. The reason that the other side does not speak against the violence is because they are Antifa. They are BLM. They are the membership of those organizations, and they help encourage and fund it. And oh, by the way, when you get arrested for doing that, they help do a fund to get you out of jail.
Right.
So
the vice president herself.
Exactly. So when you have that level of senior leadership supporting violence, either by tacit approval or direct support, you're going to get more of it.
And also, where are the imams, right? Where are the imams condemning the Islamic radicals? Because we all know that not all Muslims are violent, but where are the religious leaders condemning that violence as well? Morgan, Murphy, Rebecca Grant, Colonel Schaefer, thank you all.